October 2025 was the best sales month I've ever had since I started reselling about a year ago. This time last year, I was actually in debt to myself because I had spent more money than I was making. I'm happy to say that I've dug myself out of that hole, and if you didn't watch my last video, which was, pardon me, let's let the airplane drive by first. Okay, if you didn't watch my last video, which was my 1-year reselling update, I would highly recommend watching that video after this one because it gives you a very detailed timeline of all of the things that have changed in the last year to get me to this point. By this point, I mean that last month, October 2025, I net a total of $1,919.65 reselling on 4 different platforms, which is almost double what my goal has been all year, which is to get me to $1,000 net income a month. I like to break this down into 2 different categories, one of which is the traditional online reselling, so the online marketplaces such as eBay, Poshmark, and Depop, and the other one being live selling, which is Whatnot. So to break that down, in October, I made $625.75 on the marketplaces, eBay, Poshmark, and Depop, which is double what I made the month before that. And I made $1,293.90 live selling on Whatnot. So today's video is going to be a typical what sold video where I go over what sold on the marketplaces, and I'll have pictures of everything. And then in the end, I will share the fun statistics and metrics that come with live selling on Whatnot. Let's get into it. And as always, we're gonna start with eBay. So before I get into what sold on eBay, I have to quickly talk about this very unfortunate update happening in 2026 on eBay. And that is this promoted listings update. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, which I'm assuming you do, because if you follow me, you probably follow other resellers. But if you don't know what I'm talking about, Justin Resells did a really good video on it. So I'm gonna link that video in the description down below. You should definitely watch it so that you can thoroughly understand how this is going to affect your reselling business in 2026. But to put it very simply, you're gonna be charged for your promoted listings even when someone made a purchase that did not use your promoted listings feature. And for some reason, despite eBay sellers in other countries where this feature has already been rolled out being pissed because it's totally unfair, they're still going to roll this out in the US in 2026. If you do use promoted listings on eBay, it kind of seems like the general consensus on all of the reselling places that I'm a part of is that we're all just gonna stop using promoted listings in 2026 to hopefully send a message to the eBay execs that this is just a giant slap in the face to all of their sellers whom without us, they would not even have a business at all. So feel free to put your opinions about the promoted listings situation in the comments down below. I'm not sure if the eBay execs are gonna watch my video, but if they for some reason happen to and they see your comment, it might make a difference. So go ahead and do that. And the reason I bring that up is because I sold 18 things in October on eBay, 8 of which were sold via promoted listings. So that means 44% of my sales last month were sold via promoted listings. If I have to remove promoted listings, that's gonna take a massive chunk out of my income, but it's gonna probably take an even bigger chunk out of my income if every single one of my sales turns into promoted listings. So I don't really know what to do, but obviously I'll keep you guys updated on what I'm doing and how it's affecting my sales. Now, let's get into what's sold on eBay. The first thing is this Philips brand electric shaver. Yes, I still sell hard goods every once in a while. I actually learned about these having a really good sell-through rate from Desert Sellers on here. She has a fantastic YouTube channel. I would definitely recommend checking her out, especially if you really like a good, here's what sells in hard goods, no frills. She's very easy to understand, and I've learned a lot about what kind of hard goods sell through her, so I would definitely recommend giving her channel a watch. But anyways, I bought this at the Amazon bins on $2 day. And it sold for $15. I actually was expecting it to flip a little bit faster, but I'm not really sure why it didn't because the sell-through rate was through the roof on these at the time. But it did sell and I did make a pretty decent profit on it since I only paid $2 for it. Next thing are these Doth, I don't know how to pronounce the brand. They're barefoot shoes, and I know that barefoot shoes are kind of trending right now. I did pick these up at Vista Auction a year ago, which is an online liquidator. If you're unfamiliar with my total failure about Vista Auction, again, go and watch my 1-year reselling update video after this one. I got them for $6 and they were defective. So these ones had like a yellow, there was like a piece on them that was the wrong color. It was like yellow when it should have been white or something like that. But those sold for $9, so I really did not make a lot of money, but I was so happy to see them go because I've literally had them for a year. Next up is this American Eagle floral button-up, kind of like a nice boxy shirt. These I got on Facebook Marketplace in a bulk buy. So this is something I would highly recommend doing, is looking on Facebook Marketplace and trying to find people who are selling a lot of their clothing for not very much. I bought 100 pieces from this woman for $40. Make sure it comes from somebody whose clothing is actually photographed. So just based on her photos, I was able to tell that I was gonna be able to make my money back really quickly. And a lot of the things that I got from her, I recently listed, and a lot of them are gonna be in this What Sold video. So each item ended up being 43 cents each. And this particular shirt sold for $13 very, very quickly, despite it being totally out of season. And the funniest thing about this is I actually just picked up this exact shirt in a different color at the bins the last time I was at the bins. If you hear any tippy tapping in the background, it's my dog. I can't stop him from walking around on the hardwood while I'm filming. He just won't stop. All right, next up is this Wrangler Western shirt. It's a pearl snap. I've sold a lot of like Wrangler Western pearl snap shirts. Some of them sell really well. Some of them take a bit longer. This one I bought from a garage sale in the spring for $3.33. That was bundled up with other Wrangler and other brand like Western pearl snap shirts. And this one sold for $20. Next up is this pair of brand new Wrangler camo cargo pants. They were for kids, like I think it was like a 3T size. I bought them from the Goodwill bins for $1.77 and they actually sold for $10. So I do pick up kids clothing every once in a while, only at the bins though, because some things do actually sell really well at the bins for kids clothing. Next is these Vans off the wall Alamar high top skate shoes. I was thrilled when my mom found these. She found them at a thrift store. I've been telling her what kind of like Vans shoes to look out for, and she happened to just find pretty much exactly what I was telling her to look for. These were in really, really good condition. They were only $5 at the thrift store and they sold for $45. So be on the lookout for kind of more like upscale looking Vans. These ones could have been worn like as dress shoes. They were that nice. Next up is another pair of barefoot shoes. These ones were Zero brand. I actually sold these twice. The first person returned them because they didn't fit, but this time it stuck. I bought these at a thrift store for $7.50 and I sold them for $25, but there was a 20% off coupon on this one. So if you guys have an eBay store subscription and you are not using the coupons and discounts feature, why aren't you? If you've got stuff that you've had for a long time that just won't sell, even if you change the price of the item by 20%, that is not as attractive as here's the price of the item with a 20% off coupon. It's just buyer psychology. It works really, really well. I sold several items last month with this 20% off coupon. Like these next pair of shoes, these were a Keen brand Sparta aluminum toe sneakers, and I bought these at the Vista auction for $40. They're brand new in box. I paid up for them because at the time they should have sold for over $100, but obviously they didn't. So I bought them for $40 and I actually ended up selling them for $30, and there was a 20% off coupon. So with fees and everything, I ended up losing about $22 on this sale, but I've had them for over a year. So it was time to say goodbye and just accept it as a loss. That does happen every once in a while. Next up is these Judy Blue brand leopard jeans. I've sold a lot of Judy Blues. These ones for some reason took the longest. They were a plus size, so that's why I thought they would sell faster, but they didn't. I bought them at the thrift store for $7.50 and I was really excited because I seriously thought that these had such a good sell-through rate, but they took forever to sell and they only sold for $11, so not even worth picking up. Next up is this New with Tags Robert Graham button-up shirt. Y'all, I've had this shirt for a long time, not quite a full year, but I've had it for a long time. And I bought it at a thrift store for $5.50. It's brand new with tags. It still had the tag on it. And I thought this was gonna sell. I think this shirt was $198 new with tags. Like I think the tag literally said $198 on it. but I was only able to sell it for $66, and then there was a 20% off coupon on top of that. So I thought it was gonna go so much faster. I still made a really, really good profit on it because I only bought it for $5.50, but I thought it was gonna sell way faster. I'm starting to second guess Robert Graham as a good like BOLO brand because I wanna say 3 Robert Graham pieces in my possession, well 2 now, but they're not getting very much interest on them. And I don't know why. Maybe I need to kind of revamp that. Anyways, next up is this Twillery brand button-up shirt. This would be normally a good brand to look out for. Like the sell-through rate was good when I bought these. However, these particular ones, I think people were actually reading the condition description on this because these all had a very, very heavy cologne smell on them. And when I picked them up, I was like, I'm just gonna bring them home and wash them and it'll be okay. And then I realized that they are dry clean only. So I dropped the price on them from what I thought I was gonna list them at and just made sure to put in the description, hey, these have a heavy cologne smell. They are sold as is, they just need to be dry cleaned again, basically. So because of that, I bought 3 of them for $5.50 each, and this one sold for $12, and I still have 2 left. So hopefully those will sell soon. Next up is this Wrangler rugged wear jeans. I picked these up at the bins for $1.44. I thought they were retro jeans. I don't know what was going on in my head at this time, but these were in like new condition anyways. And they sold for $10, and there was also a 20% off coupon on top of that, unfortunately. So that was not a good pickup, and I don't think I would recommend picking those up. Next up is a much better find. This is a Tahari 100% cashmere sweater. If you aren't aware, cashmere sells very, 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 very well on these platforms. This one I got in that Facebook Marketplace bulk buy, so it was 43 cents. I sold it for $38. And this one actually sold completely organically, no promoted listings needed on this one because it's fall. And I also did not apply the coupon to this one because I knew that it was gonna sell pretty quickly. Next up are these Express Sexy Stretch Yoga Pants. That is what they are called. I did not call them that myself. This is also from the Facebook Marketplace pickup for 43 cents, and they sold for $17. They were very like Y2K themed, so I think that's what caused these to sell very quickly. Next up, this was also from the bulk buy for 43 cents on Facebook Marketplace, was this pink satin robe with some black lace trim on it. It sold for $8.50. I had no idea what to price that as. I know that robes tend to do really well on eBay, and I might have been able to sell it for more, but I kind of didn't really care because I got it for 43 cents and I wasn't expecting it to sell at all, so I'm totally happy with $8.50. All right, next up is this Cool brand khaki pants. Cool, K-U-H-L, is a really, really good BOLO brand to look out for. Everything that I list that is Cool brand sells within the first couple of months. These particular pants were just khakis that I bought for $4 at a thrift store. I sold them for $20. Okay, this next one is an interesting one. It's another cashmere sweater. The brand was Snow Lotus, which I've never heard of before. This was a bins find for $1.31. And again, I don't know what was going on with me on this day because I did not notice that this sweater had a giant hole, like right in the front, like a big, larger than quarter-sized hole in the front of the shirt. So I was like, well, I can't sell this for full price. And I'm afraid that if I try to sell it for like $10 even, that someone's gonna not notice the hole in it despite me like, you know, taking very good pictures of the hole and everything. So I actually put this one on auction, which is something I do every once in a while. It's the old eBay way, right? Even if you have a store subscription, the auction costs you 25 cents to run. But I was like, that's totally fine. I got this for $1.33 anyways. I set it on auction for $3, and I actually got, I think, like 4 or 5 bids on it, and it ended up selling for $6.50. So I'm totally happy with that. I listed it, and then the auction was 7 days, so it was kind of like forced to sell quickly, and that worked out really well. And last but not least on eBay was this Disney Rafiki hat. I, at one point, wanted to try to start selling hats. Probably never again. Like, I really don't want to do research on what hats sell. I just don't care about hats that much. This was $5.50. and I sold it for $10, and then there was a 20% off coupon, and then with the coupon and with the fees, I actually ended up breaking even on this hat. So for some reason I thought because it was Disney and it was like an officially Disney licensed product that it was going to sell for more and better, but it didn't. I apologize for the sirens and stuff going on outside. As you guys know, hopefully, I like to have the windows and stuff open when it's really, really nice outside because I like to feel the breeze. It sounds like they're getting closer, not farther. It's okay, I'll wait. Okay, it sounds like it went away. Next up is Poshmark sales. I sold 13 items on Poshmark in October, which is very high. Like I sold 18 on eBay and 13 on Poshmark. Like Poshmark is starting to catch up. So I have no regrets when it comes to cross-listing, and I'm very happy with my cross-listing experience. So the first thing is this new with tags Canyon Retreat dress. This one is one of the ones I bought from Daily Refinement. He had a QVC bundle sale going on his Whatnot show, and I bought several bundles from him. Every piece ended up being about $3.58 each if you were to break it all down. So I sold this one for $20. And I've been actually selling through the items that I got from there pretty quickly, so I'm pretty happy with those purchases. Next up is this new with tags as well, H&M blazer. This one is from that Facebook Marketplace bulk buy, so 43 cents. This is one of the ones that I had a photo of that I could see what the person was selling. And I knew that this would sell for good money. It sold for $30. This Comfort Colors tank top, I had total brand blindness when buying this. I was like, ooh, Comfort Colors, like everyone loves Comfort Colors. This is super like USA, like classic. Just no. I bought it for $1.77. It sold for $5. I obviously didn't do any comps on it. I just, again, brand blindness, just grabbed it real quick. Next are these Banana Republic Martin Fit pants. These were very, very on trend, very dark academia, very like brown is like a really popular color in the fall. And I anticipated this was like a style-based pickup, but also Banana Republic is a decent brand as well. And so I got this in the bins for $1.77, and they sold for $20, I think within a week of listing them. So be on the lookout for those. Next up is this Tony Hawk brand skate pants. And I was not expecting these to sell as fast as they did, but this brand is technically done for. It's not vintage per se, because I think it ended in like the 2010s maybe. I could be wrong on that, so like don't quote me on that, but they sold for $20. These are like the classic skate pants, and I was really proud of this actually, because they sold so fast. They sold, I think, in like 2 weeks. So next up are these Dansko clogs. If you get any BOLO out of this video, Dansko nursing clogs. I have sold so many flippin' pairs of Dansko nursing clogs, and I always make a good bit of money on them. This was at the thrift store for $5. My mom actually found these, especially if you find ones like this that are super, super unique and colorful and have like just really pretty patterns on them. These sold for $55. They may have sold for a little bit less if they weren't in such good condition. These were in legit brand new condition, but I still put pre-loved because you just never know. So that was a really, really great pickup. Next is this Y2K BKE buckle jeans. I got these at a thrift store for $5 and I sold them for $22. That's something you want to be on the lookout for too. BKE buckle jeans, especially if they're from Y2K or if they are Y2K themed, like low rise boot cut, that kind of thing. Be out on the lookout for those. Be out on the lookout. Be on the lookout for those. Additionally, when it comes to jeans, these Abercrombie & Fitch 90s relaxed jeans, that is what they are called. They're not from the 90s, they're 90s style. That's what it says on the tag, is 90s relaxed jeans. These I actually found at the bins for $1.31, which is insane. I never find Abercrombie, Jesus Christ. I never find Abercrombie & Fitch jeans at the bins. I was so excited. They sold really, really fast for $25. Next up is this pair of Lululemon. These were called Tight Stuff 2 or something like that, leggings. They had a very specific style name. And they had these like reflective dots on the ankle section. I actually bought these for myself from a friend of mine's Whatnot show for $6. But when I pulled them out of the box, I was like, oh my God, like there is no flipping way I could squeeze even one of my legs into this thing. They were also in like brand new condition. There wasn't any pilling in the crotch area or anything. Like I was really, really surprised on the condition of these leggings. They retail for $148 and they sold very, very fast for $40. So was very happy with that purchase. Next up is this Tommy Bahama quarter zip. I probably won't pick things up like this very often. I bought this in the summer for $1.77 at the bins, and this sold for $16. Not that that's a bad flip. I just think like Tommy Bahama is kind of starting to go downhill unless it's like something very unique or different. So let me know y'all's experience on Tommy Bahama, because every Tommy Bahama piece I have I think is gonna sell for like a lot and then it ends up not. So I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts. Okay, these were some like classic chunky Mary Jane shoes, and they were just kind of an Amazon brand. They were brandless. I bought these at Vista Auction for $7 over a year ago, and I actually had a subscriber help me with the title on these. I had them listed for so long, and they were one of the listings that I have that I just hadn't got to yet when it came to like trying to revamp the listing. And now was the time to try and sell these. So one of my subscribers commented on them in my Poshmark listing and gave me title ideas, and I was like, you know what, I'm just gonna change this right now. So I went ahead and I changed the entire title, and I ended up selling them on Poshmark for $15. I wish I could have sold them for more, but they were a larger size and they weren't like any sort of substantial brand, and I think that's probably what threw people off, but they were brand new. So there's that. Next up is this American Eagle pair of curvy jeggings. These were my own, so $0 in. I lost weight over the summer, so I went down a size and these did not fit me anymore, and I sold them for $14. And then last but not least is this vintage Ralph Lauren turtleneck. This was like a really, really good piece, and I was so excited when I picked this up until I found a hole that was in such a good place. It was at the back of the neck, like underneath the turtleneck flap. But I don't feel good selling anything that has a hole in it, or trying to sell anything that has a hole in it like that for full price. So these ended up being sold for $12, but I only paid $1.31 for them. But they had the little like flag on the fold over collar part, so I just thought that was so cool. This wasn't just regular Polo Ralph Lauren, it was Ralph Lauren Jeans Co. So it's a brand that doesn't exist anymore, or a line of the brand that doesn't exist anymore. So be on the lookout for that, because that sold very quickly. All right, next we have Depop items. I actually sold 8 items on Depop in October, which doesn't sound like a lot, but for Depop it is. The first one is very interesting. It is this Sherlock Holmes like costume hat. This was from my Facebook Marketplace bulk buy, believe it or not, 43 cents. And I sold it for $15, and it sold within a week. Next up is this Patrons of Peace jumpsuit. I got this from a separate Facebook Marketplace buy. I bought a bunch of like homecoming dresses and stuff like that from like a teenager on Facebook Marketplace. And so everything was $4.78. This jumpsuit sold for $25. And if you're curious to know, the Hoko dresses did not sell, so I'm gonna have to like remarket them in the spring. These Sam Edelman riding boots got so many offers and so many views. Like Depop is so annoying because you will get hundreds, thousands of views on certain things and then not sell them. I bought these at Vista Auction for $23 because I thought they would sell for over $100 at the time, as I did buy them in the fall. So I've had them for over a year and they sold for $30. So I didn't make any money on these. I was so glad to see them go. The person that bought them was very particular about whether or not they were real. And correct me if I'm wrong, but it's Sam Edelman. I don't think that people are making fake Sam Edelman boots, right? Isn't that like a luxury brand thing where like people sell Coach, like fake Coach and stuff like that. I don't know. I've never seen like fake Sam Edelman anywhere. Like I didn't know that that was a thing. So anyways, next up is I sold another of these Joffrey Bean sweater vests. I bought these almost a year ago. Like I've had them forever. I had 4 of them and I tried to sell them in a bundle all together, but that was not working out. So they were $5.50 each, and I sold this one for $10. Next up is this vintage Clemson crew neck. I bought this at the thrift store a long time ago for $5, and it sold for $25. So this next one, this Old Navy fitted sweater is the only item that I sold from a local like New Tags discount store. Kind of wanted to try it out. They were having a 50% off sale, so everything in their store was like really, really cheap. This shirt was $6, and I was only able to sell it for $11, unfortunately. And I got some really good stuff from that store that still hasn't sold. So I'm not really sure if I'll buy stuff from there again. Next up is this pair of Madewell kick-out jeans. They're black and they got lots of interest on Poshmark and Depop. I bought them at $5 at a thrift store and they finally sold after getting so much interest for $25. It's really satisfying when something that has a lot of interest on it on Depop finally sells, because you'll stop getting notifications every 5 seconds that someone's interested in your item. And lastly from Depop was this 7 for All Mankind pleather leggings. I did not know that 7 for All Mankind made leggings at all, let alone pleather leggings. This was from the really good Facebook Marketplace bulk buy for 43 cents, and I sold them for $18. So that is everything for my online marketplaces. And now for the fun part, which is my Whatnot sales. So due to the nature of live selling, I cannot show you or tell you exactly what sold on Whatnot. If you want to see what sells on my Whatnot, come and join in one of my shows and come watch. My link for that is in my link tree, which is always in my bio. There's 3 links. There's one that'll just take you to my page if you already have a Whatnot account. There's one that will give you $15 to spend as a buyer if you have not created an account yet. And then there's another one that'll give you $150 as a seller if you would like to sell on Whatnot. And those last 2 give me a credit, so they're not sponsored. Every Whatnot seller gets these 2 links to share. So if you want to use mine, that would be awesome. To sign up either as a buyer or a seller, and you can join in my shows and you can kind of see how it works. It's really fun. I've had a lot of you like come in and join my shows and hang out with me, and it's been really fun. So anyways, let's get into the metrics. So my metrics and Whatnot's metrics are slightly off, and I'm unsure why, but I'd like to think that mine are more accurate. But for clarity's sake, since Whatnot's platform looks prettier and has this beautiful chart that looks much nicer than my spreadsheet, we'll use that instead. My total earnings, according to Whatnot, in the month of October were $1,195.70. So that is the amount that went into my bank account, and that is with an average order value of $6 and 256 total orders. Also shown here, I had an average of 6 buyers per day and a maximum of 28 concurrent viewers at a time. So that is not the average amount of viewers that I get in my show, not by a landslide. I would probably say my average view count in my shows is like 7, maybe. That just means that I most likely got a raid from somebody else's show. So at one time I had 28 people in my show. Some other interesting metrics that you might be interested in is I gained 310 new followers in October. I went live 23 times, and I was apparently live for 45 hours, but I would like to subtract at least 4 hours from that, because I was one of the unfortunate souls who was live during the Amazon Web Services outage. So my show was on pause for 4 hours and I could not re-access it. I had other people that could re-access it, but it was on pause. Like I couldn't even see that it was on pause. Somebody else had to tell me that my show was on pause. And it was really frustrating and annoying, but thankfully it didn't ruin any of my customer orders or anything like that, so it wasn't actually that big of a deal, but I definitely wasn't live for 45 hours. It was probably closer to 40 or 41. Another really interesting metric is my highest spending return buyer spent $161 in my shows and bought 23 items from me. So if you take the true amount of hours that I was live, which is about 41, and then you take the total amount I made and you do a simple little division, that would mean I made an average of $29 an hour while I was live. That sounds amazing, but it doesn't take into account the amount of time that I spent sourcing or setting up my show and taking down my show, or just literally like the digital part of setting up your show. There's a lot that comes to setting up a Whatnot show on the app, and it takes a lot of time. And it doesn't count like packing orders or anything like that. So I don't make $29 an hour on Whatnot. I probably make considerably less than that, but I do make more money on Whatnot than I do on my marketplaces by a landslide. So again, if you're interested in selling on Whatnot, use those links in my link tree because, and if you're curious as to what sold, most of that was probably rings, but some of it was also clothing, both pre-loved and new with tags, because I was trying to do a lot of like liquidating in the beginning of the month and trying to get rid of stuff. So I did do a lot of clothing shows, and that is more shows, by the way, than I probably will ever do in a month. October was when I decided I'm gonna buckle down and I'm gonna do shows all the time, and I pretty much did shows every day for a couple of weeks. But now I've got it down to a schedule, which is working really well for me. So that is everything that sold in October 2025 for me. If you are a regular viewer of my channel, I bet you're surprised that I've already posted, because normally I post once every 2 weeks, but I decided today to just post this video sooner than I normally would for a few reasons. One is because it's an October what sold video and I didn't want to wait too long to do that. And then another reason is I feel like I have finally gotten my Whatnot schedule down so well that it's making me feel like I have more time for YouTube. And I've told you guys that YouTube does make me a little bit of money. It is like a mega side hustle. I actually didn't even make enough money in October on YouTube to even get paid. You have to make a minimum of $100 on AdSense in order to get paid. And I didn't make that. I didn't even make that in October. So another reason is that in 2026, things are gonna change a lot for a lot of people, and financially speaking, and like specifically for us, it's gonna be quite a significant change financially. So I am trying to find ways to bring in as much income as I can from all of the different sources. So I just wanna let you guys know that when you watch one of my videos and you watch it all the way to the end, that is a free way to help me with the AdSense revenue, and I'm really, really grateful for it. You could also subscribe, especially if you've made it this far. Subscribe, turn the post notifications on, that way you know when I've posted, and you can watch my videos if you enjoy them, and that really helps us. So if you're feeling deprived in between my YouTube videos, I actually have an Instagram account that is also in my link tree, and it's brand new. So please go follow me on my Instagram. I think as of today, I have like 50 followers on it, and I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. So if you could help me out with that, that would be great. And you'll see a lot more updates and stuff like that on Instagram than you will on YouTube. So also in my link tree are all of the discount codes and affiliate links that you could need from me. It's all in there. I love Linktree. It works out so well. Anyways, that is all I have for today, and I'll see you in the next one. I don't know when I'll post, but we'll see. Bye.